Most people who become addicted never plan to destroy their lives. They didn't wake up one morning and say, "Today, I will ruin my future." No,
It usually begins in a much smaller way.
a moment of curiosity, a moment of pressure,
Or a moment of pain. Someone offers them something and says, "Relax."
it's just once, and in that single moment, a decision is made that quietly begins changing everything. This is the story of how one small choice can slowly take away someone's dreams,
Their freedom.
and sometimes even their life. There was a young man named Daniel.
Daniel was not a bad person. In fact, he was exactly the kind of person everyone believed would succeed. He was intelligent.
Hardworking, full of ambition.
His parents were proud of him.
He had dreams of building a successful career, helping his family, and creating a better life. But like many people, Daniel faced pressure.
The pressure of school.
The fear of failure, the weight of expectations. Sometimes those pressures felt overwhelming.
One evening, while hanging out with friends, someone offered him something.
"This will help you relax," his friend said. Daniel hesitated. He knew it wasn't the right thing to do, but the voice in his mind whispered, "It's just once."
Everyone else is doing it.
So Daniel made a decision that felt small at the time.
He said yes. At first, nothing seemed wrong. In fact, Daniel felt good. His stress disappeared for a while. His worries felt lighter.
It seemed like an easy escape from the pressures of life. Soon, that once turned into every weekend, then every few days,
Eventually,
every day. Without realizing it, Daniel slowly began losing control. His concentration started fading. The motivation he once had began disappearing. Assignments were missed.
deadlines passed. Promises were broken.
His family noticed the change.
But addiction has a dangerous trick. It convinces you that you are still in control, even when you are not.
Daniel told himself, "I can stop anytime." But every time he tried, he failed.
Months passed, and Daniel's life continued to fall apart. Eventually, his parents discovered the truth. They realized their son had become addicted. One evening, they sat with him and spoke with deep concern.
"Daniel,"
"Please stop before this destroys your life." Daniel promised them he would stop.
and he truly tried.
But addiction is dangerous.
It is much easier to start than to stop. Even though Daniel wanted to quit, he kept falling back into the same habit.
Slowly, the addiction began affecting every part of his life.
He started missing classes. Homework was left unfinished. His concentration disappeared. The student who once dreamed of success but barely focused on anything anymore.
Eventually, Daniel reached a point where he could no longer continue his studies.
He dropped out of school.
His parents were heartbroken.
They loved their son and refused to give up on him, but they knew something had to change.
They decided to send Daniel to the rural village where his grandmother lived.
Their hope was simple. If Daniel could stay away from the environment that introduced him to addiction, maybe he could start again. Daniel's grandmother was not only kind,
She was wise. Life in the village was quiet.
very different from the busy city. One day, Daniel sat with his grandmother and began complaining about his life,
He talked about the stress he had faced,
the difficult assignments, the demanding professors.
the feeling that life had become too overwhelming.
His grandmother listened carefully, but instead of giving him advice immediately, she did something unexpected.
She placed 3 pots of water on the stove.
When the water began to boil, she placed 2 potatoes in the first pot, 2 eggs in the second, and a handful of tea leaves in the third. Daniel watched quietly, confused.
About 20 minutes later, she turned to the stove. She placed the potatoes and eggs on a plate. Then she handed him the cup.
"Drink the tea." Daniel took a sip. "It's delicious," he said with a smile, but he was still confused. "Grandma, what was the point of all this?" His grandmother smiled and explained.
The 3 pots of water were exactly the same, but the potatoes, the eggs, and the tea leaves all responded differently. In boiling water, the potatoes became weak and soft.
The eggs, which were fragile before, became strong and hard inside, but the tea leaves did something different. They changed the water itself. Then she looked at Daniel and asked, "So tell me, my grandson,
Which one are you? When life becomes difficult, are you the potato that becomes weak,
the egg that becomes hard and bitter?"
or the tea leaves that transform difficulty?"
She paused and said softly, "It is a choice only you can make, and that choice will determine your future."
That moment changed Daniel. For the first time, he realized something important.
Life will always bring challenges, but how we respond to those challenges is entirely our choice, and sometimes the greatest transformation begins with a single decision, the decision to change.
Before you leave, ask yourself one question. when life becomes difficult.
Will you be the potato, the egg, or the tea leaves?
If this story inspired you, like the video and share it.
And don't forget to subscribe for more life-changing stories.